And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to EU League. It's Playday number 6 with BDS versus Rogue. BDS losing to Navi in our last Playday. Will they recover today? They've had a couple of losses over the past few days. We're gonna have a chat about that. And Rogue on the up and up, demolishing Team Secret 7-1 in EU. Well, Hap, Ace, my beautiful friends, you're back on the analyst desk. So how would we talk about the big story with this? Because last time BDS Rogue, at least the first time they played last year in EUL Stage 1, that was Rogue stopping BDS in their track.
Yeah, I mean, it really was. It was a memorable match. You know, it's not often that you see BDS beaten on Oregon. It's, you know, something that is going to have to be, you know, replicated going forward, essentially.
It's indeed going to be promising signs for a good match, right? Because it shows that Rogue is very good at counter-strutting BDS, at least back then. We don't talk about Stage 2, where they lost 2-7 to them. But it is going to be a good one, for sure. Like, especially with Rogue with this uplift and BDS kind of, you know, stagnating out. It's going to be a good one.
Gonna be a good one indeed. We got many fantastic today. BDS, Rogue, Navi, Victari, and Kovana secured. If you ask me, there's a lot to look at. Keep both of your eyes open. Kovana and Sir, that's another.
Stop.
Look. No. I studied for 6 years in university to be an optometrist just to make these jokes. So finally, it's paying off for me, Hap, as an esports host. So there it is, BDS versus Rogue. Let's take a look at BDS and their roster right now. Considered number 2 in EU. Oh, we don't have. Okay, so BDS and their rosters: Shaiko, Renshiro, Rafal, Elems, and Playday. What a squad! What players! But they lost Train Hard in 6 Cup. What is going on?
They did indeed. Are you going to read out the stats as well whilst I'm busy? No. Right? Okay. No. Anyway, they did lose indeed, and then the question, the age-old question comes in: how much pressure is BDS putting down onto the national program? Because they are looking to go for a top finish in EUL. You don't want to give away too much, and maybe they try to play with a more limited strat book, hoping to hide as much as they can for a potential SI. So you know, like, how much are you going to be weighing into that? Nonetheless, they lost against Navi. They are bleeding, and they need to make sure that that stops, because the only way they will be able to reach that number 1 spot is by winning literally every match from here and forward, and hope Navi leaves some points. So that is what they're looking up against.
Hap trying to apply the G2 strategy of saving strats until SI to BDS. I want to see how that translates into game. But Ace, their opponents, it is Rogue, and they're moving up in the world. Ace's Corey rips Leon and crying. Full German with Leon, British. You know, you can say the Queen is German anyway, so it kind of fits.
I mean, looking at Rogue, you could be forgiven for thinking that it was all about Playday 1 and we saw them come in and struggle, but boy, have they improved week on week. And you've got to, more importantly, remember now that they are right at the end of a 4-game win streak in EUL since that first day loss. They've won every game since, and they are just looking to continue that. For me, they are meeting BDS at just exactly the right time. They've found their groove the last week or two. They've really been winning convincingly. In terms of the roster itself, obviously, Leon has been going fantastically well. For me, it's not a bad thing that he's getting the kills. He's getting a lot of kills. He's over 40, but they need to be careful because as many of them come on attack as does defense. And the problem there is that Leon's playing hard support. And if he's putting himself into risky positions potentially, as a Thermite, as a hard breach, it could be a problem for Rogue. Won't necessarily, but could be. Rise, trying. They've had a good start. Could do with maybe a little bit more, and that might just take the pressure off Leon when it comes to the kills.
Just trying to get on to map info here. So we don't have our graphics to pull up, unfortunately, but which 2 players did you 2 have for the head-to-head, since you already have everything ready in a wonderful Excel sheet that Excel sheet go brrr, as Ace would say.
It certainly
that made my day.
Our head-to-head was Playday versus Leon, so I've already mentioned Leon a little bit there, but as I say, over 40 kills, 6 plants, which is as many as Playday, and for me, he looks more like Playday last season than Playday himself does this season, and that's why we've brought these 2 up in the head-to-head.
Yeah, what I said about Playday was like he has been functioning as the solid backline right now for BDS and not as the solution to everything that he was during stage one, especially last year. Like when we saw 2020 stage one, it was Playday season. We called it support season because Playday was literally doing everything. He was clutching, he was entry fragging, all as the support. But now he's playing more as the actual support, right? He's no longer doing the job that he did before because the rest of the team is really starting to show up. Rafal and Shiro, Alems, and Shaiko all picking up so many kills as well. So Playday can just chill back at the side. He can wait. He can get that plant down, make sure that the timer is in their favor. He can sit back, toss some smoke canisters, just make sure that the timer is in their favor at every single given moment.
2020 was definitely the year of Playday. There's a reference for maybe some of the SC2 fans out there, the year of Hearthstone, as they used to call it, that never actually materialized. For any Dutchies as well that are very burned by that reference. But
don't bring up our esports history. We don't have much.
What do you mean? Team Liquid is a Dutch org. And,
that is true. That is true. That is very true.
So there you go. Wilhelmus von Nassau en ik Duitsen Blut, right? So
we're gonna, van Duitsenblut, yes.
Yeah, we're gonna relearn our broken German as we go on. This is the description of Dutch. Our lobby is almost ready, but we can talk about the maps because I will narrate them to you. So the bans are Rogue banned first. They removed Cafe, BDS removed Chalet, then Villa, Oregon, Coastline Clubhouse, and Rogue pick. The last one is Consulate, so we'll go to Consulate. Let's see who goes first on Consulate, on which side.
Ooh, that's going to be an interesting one.
I mean,
so Consulate, go ahead.
About Rogue versus Vitality on Consulate. That's not too dissimilar from what they're going to face here. It's another French team. It's, not too dissimilar in terms of play style. It could be an interesting game, this one.
It's Rogue on defense starting side.
That might help them out, actually. I mean, Consulate is heading more towards that little bit of a split, 50-50 even in terms of one round. So, it's not like as important as it would be for Villa, for example. Mm-hmm. However, it's still going to be giving you that little edge. And that little edge might be what you need to beat who many might still consider the top dogs of the league in terms of consistency over the board. So, it is good. Oh, I'm really excited for this match. I just want to get going. I want to see it. I want to make clips. I want to see all right, let's go. Let's see Shaiko run in and make some crazy kills, but be caught off by aces and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I'm ready for it. Living for it.
Can't wait for it. After Rogue got demolished by Kovana in her very first Playday, we kind of said, you know what, this is going to be a rough time, but ever since Rogue beat Vitality 8-6, smashed VP 7-2, beat Empire 7-5, smashed Secret 7-1. Today, this is kind of the big trial for Rogue, and if they can cause a dent or defeat BDS today and even take them to OT, that would be a huge deal, Ace.
It would, certainly, and I think, trial is the exact right words there, Milosh. This is the point now. This is make or break. This is Rogue staking their claim, or we can start looking back at those other games for a little bit of context and say, well, they were against teams that were struggling, and I don't think that's going to be the case. I think what they've done is do a fantastic job of building Rogue up to this point and giving them the confidence that they need, but also giving them the time that they needed for that coaching staff to really be able to work with magic.
Yes.
And I think that's the point that we're starting to see Rogue at now. I don't want to curse this one. It's Consulate again.
My team so far have 100% lost
another massive game here after following on from G2 Empire. I really do.
What's the definition? I mean, the Americans call it a barn burner, Ace, but what do you call it?
I've never had anything. I call it a humdinger.
Yeah,
I know you love a humdinger. I've got a few different ones.
It's my favy. It's my favy.
Oh my God, this starts
what are some other ones like humdinger in English? In English?
A screamer, maybe. I mean, you've got the typical. We've got a banger. We've got. There's nothing really that lives up to the levels of humdinger. There's
a slobber knocker. Yeah. So there's something. This, by the way, Ace is actually 350 years old. When I asked Ace and Des, do you guys know what a penny farthing is? Ace is like, of course I do. I ride around my penny farthing all the time. It's a bicycle with a big, front wheel that's round and big, and then the back one is nice and small. Like, okay, well, thank you very much, Ace. Now you solved all my problems, and I'm no 1800. So that's all I needed. Thank you,
I went
Ace.
to the shop this morning on it.
Just pop in the shop for some milk.
To pick up my telegrams. I've got to stay current.
Do you have a license for that penny farthing, Ace? Show me the license for it. So there it is, preparing. By the way, you can tell we're kind of waiting on for our game. But Ace, something you mentioned that I wanted to talk about last week. Unfortunately, we didn't have enough time. Is to talk about the effect of coaching staff on Rogue. This is something you and I contested with Jess on Friendly Fire, and Meepy over the weekend talked about it and said, yeah, it's been very important for us to come in and give our players direction because they're good. That's not the question.
It's not just Meepy. It's also Arcuf, Bernadette. Like, they have a huge coaching staff behind them now.
Yeah, that's true.
They've all had a very noticeable impact, and I think in our head-to-head, Milos, we arrived at a similar destination via different methods. Really, it was maybe what impact they've had. We've maybe discussed differently, but ultimately, I think they've been affecting many areas. And like I said, particularly Meepy coming on. If we look at him specifically, the point that I made was how much he's going to have freed up time for Arcus, and that's going to have allowed them to work more quickly on fixing problems that come along. And that's what we've seen, this rapid development from Playday to Playday. Whereas if you've just got one person trying to do all that work and trying to keep on top of the VOD reviews and the strat building and everything else alongside it, it's very difficult then to actually fix the stuff that was going wrong as well. And so it has definitely given them that capacity, and you can really see it in action. And I know, Hap, you had a chat with Bernadette as well, and there's been all sorts of stuff going on there at Rogue.
There is a lot going on.
A lot going on. We will talk about it, though, after the game. Thank you, Hap. Ace. I'm so sorry, but our lobby's finally ready, and Jess is getting angry, and you don't want an angry Jess. Trust me. Let's toss it then to our casters. Thank you again. BDS versus Rogue goes to Consulate. Who's collecting their visa at the end of the day? I hope it's just me and Jess. Let's toss it to your casters. Just to chew. I choose you.
Thank you very much, Milos. You say that you don't want to deal with an angry Jess. Well, I've got to talk to her now for the next 45 minutes through what is no doubt going to be a screamer of a game, and hopefully she doesn't get too angry at the players. I'm keen to see what her thoughts are going to be. Of course, BDS, a team that have made Consult look like their playground in the past. Rogue, who, although have had a real glow-up, it started with an incredibly messy game on Consulate against Vitality. You look at this on paper, you're giving it to BDS, I think, but Rogue, there's something in the water, Jess. They're looking better and better every single week.
I mean, look, their recent results on this particular map, I mean, I throw it all the way back to October. They've only had two playings of it, and they won both of them. But it was against Vitality, and then in relegations against M&M, they won Consulate as well. So they've beaten less fearsome teams to gain that 100% win rate over these past few months. But BDS, I mean, they beat Tebra, they beat Na'Vi, and I think the only team to beat them was G2. So overall, you're really looking at maybe BDS, edging out, especially when you look at round differential, edging out on the strength here on this particular map. 2 attacking bands will come through. It's Thatcher, it's Nomad. The jump out possibilities will be endless, especially when you think about Rogue and the kind of aggression they've been bringing lately.
You speak of the aggression, it's kind of been their trademark in a way. I would wager somewhat their attacks are actually quite structured, but their defenses has definitely relied on individual members. Aces being the one that I lean to, who is now back on form in the last 2 or 3 play days, as being the one who will plant his feet and quickly pick up a 3 or a 4K at any given moment. It can be quite a terrifying prospect, but you aren't against a team that aren't going to shoot back here. You're against BDS, a team of 5 gunners who are more than happy to shoot back at a moment's notice. The Maestro being banned away, we've already saw what Uno pulled off with that in the last map. That Aldo does indeed go the whole way through and guns down 5 people seemingly in a whole clip, but I can guarantee you he did reload on his rotate up yellow stairs. Either way, let's get into it then. Those are our bans. Lots of util taken off the board, or info, taken off the board. The Nomad also gone. The Thatcher we spoke about a good number of times. Just bet the question, Jess, are we going to see much coming in the way of denial for the downstairs site at some point?
Well, I'm going to backtrack just a little bit because I did want to speak about that Maestro ban just a tiny bit there because it isn't a usual ban, but the reason it's so important is the counter ban towards BDS. They will run that 9 times out of 10 on almost every single site, and when they don't have it, they replace it with a mirror. So that's what I want to see when we get onto the defensive half of BDS. How do they make up for that? There's not a Valkyrie. They run Valkyrie as a composition. They run Maestro as a composition. And otherwise, they need the mirror to work with. So they've really kneecapped them here. And I think these are good bans from Rogue. We'll see how they start on this particular side because, I mean, that aggression, bringing out that Rook makes me think they want to be peeking out the windows.
You want some wild ideas from what we saw in APAC this week, chat? We saw a team bring along the Rook. They left one armor plate inside of the box and they put it in the corner of meeting in the southwest corner. So when a team would go in to try and plant in the default spot, instead of planting, they would pick up a Rook armor plate. It was a interesting idea that never really came to light. I think the intent was never really to plant in that room in the first place, but a creative idea. And as soon as I saw Corey bringing it along, I was like, surely we're not stepping into that kind of game today.
Well, Rips will be the one that's using all of his might to be able to open up some rotates above, and all of the hatches will be opened up to him as well. And actually, it was Rogue who used Oryx to really great effect one time on this exact side. It happened to be Aces or I believe it was Leon who did it last time, and this was last year, so they're trying to bring it back into fashion, and Corey will hear the Claymore go down outside the jump out. God, you were so lucky to miss that tiny bullet straying through the yellow window, and the first victim, it will be a Lems, and this is what I mean. You're bringing over these 1.5s. I mean, no more ACOGs left for the Rook or the Doc, but it doesn't matter. They're just as powerful.
I'm going to give a shout out to Snurrelay from the Nordic casting, or from the Nordic region, one of the casters there, who first coined this as Duck the first time I casted the Nordics. And I was like, Duck? And he was like, yeah, Duck and Rook. It's really popular here in the Nordics. And I was like, oh, really? Have not seen it in a long time, but here it's starting out well, finding the opening kill onto a Lems as well. Playing on the Habana, something that normally you'd assume you'd see Shaiko on with a Lems playing the soft destruction. But clearly, Shaiko has said, I will allow you to play my main operator just for today only.
Well, Leon's going to buff up the Oryx, who's taking a little bit of HP off, getting those rotates. Damn, Corey getting out alive from there. That seems almost impossible. And Shaiko, he makes his aggression over towards Yellow. Leon goes down as a result. And you're looking at the Doc with a couple of stim pistols left in pocket going down. Crucial utility, if you ask me, but we're getting down to the halfway mark. 1 down from BDS, 1 down from Rogue, and there's all yet left to play with.
Well, it's definitely started explosive with both Leon and Shaiko springing into action. Just remove that Dark away. You did think I still had one more stim left, I think, which would have been handy for Coria after the absolute peppering that he took inside Bathroom. No doubt that armor plate doing a bit of work to make sure that he's still alive and on the field here. 4 versus 4, 75 seconds to play. Still feeling quite balanced. No, steps across the line of sight for Rafale, but not able to close it. However, elsewhere, Shaiko's going to be able to secure one for himself again. For the second time, has pushed in halfway down Yellow and found a kill. Ace with a 2K, though. What did I say? Plants his feet there inside of benches, finds a 2K as they come pushing into him. It's now a 2 versus 3 for the members of BDS, making it a 1 versus 3 as Crying converts. For Aces, Corey and Crying, this should be round 1 going their way. Renshiro left in a 1 versus 3 and clutching. Yes, he's a fantastic player. Not really something we attribute to Renshiro all too well. So this could be Rogue coming off to a really nice start here on Consulate.
I mean, that came down to the fact that if you line up, you will get taken out. We have seen this week and last week alone how in multiple different esports, lining up could be your worst nightmare. Good crossfire over towards mid spiral, and Aces, well, after he was able to pick up his teammate, there you go. Everything's to play for here. And I think that first round, it did look very much into the hands of BDS. I mean, look what Shaiko was able to do over towards Yellow. Why you'd continually peek him there when he didn't really have any control is beyond me, but they lose their gunfights. They were able to bring it back all over towards Spiral. Rogue, okay, that's a defensive round in their hands. I have to look towards their stats here, and I have to go, well, defensively, how well do they do on a map like Consulate usually? And it's pretty good. It's like a 70 to 80% win rate overall on their defensive side. And if you look at their attack, only 50%. When I say only, that's a lot better than other teams. So still good.
Not too surprised when they're as dominant as they are. And you thought for a second we might see the mirror coming out, the thing that you were excited about to see for BDS when we get into this second half because of the bans that have come through. No, it was almost teased by a second for Rogue. However, I think with the ban coming out against the Thatcher here, don't worry, there was indeed a 4th ban. It wasn't a blank ban. It was a Maestro, which will get corrected soon. I think seeing the Mute and the Mozzie coming out together here, knowing that there is not going to be the Thatcher on side, is going to force that vertical control to be required. BDS have got the tools for it here. Not only have you got the Ash with those breaching rounds, you've got the Sledge, you've got the Buck, everything they need to make sure once they have vertical control, they can rip the hell out of that floor and start using it for their own devices.
Be interesting to see whether they employ any kind of roam tactics or whether it's going to be a bathroom hold in its entirety. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. Maybe Ritz will start up there and with aces and they'll shoot a couple of drones and come down, or maybe they actively sort of do, play this. Interesting thing is that they put an ADS over towards the side of bathroom, so it does make me think they want to at least rotate down there or hold it at some point. But it'll be Leon on his lonesome in there, and I believe he'll be shotgun holding it for now and hope that the players upstairs can do damage before it's up to him.
At least starting off with a bit of a cheeky run from Rogue. He going to look at it and saying Rogue, but no, it's Rips on the downstairs, who I believe has parted with his C4, pre-placed into copy is what I imagine that ping is telling us. Just waiting for that push to come in from the admin side from BDS. But at least to begin with, there is no one starting out there. It's more about the drone work to begin with. And Renshiro is the mouse who smelt the cheese. Will he be stepping into the spot and eating a trap as he steps over the top of Coffee? It looks like to be no initially as they're starting out on the south side instead. Oh, but a rotate. He has caught a good whiff and now he's pushing in as well. Do they know? They must know that there is something sat towards the top side there. Manages to clear out what I believe. Was it the... It was, I believe, the Mozzie Pest that was on the wall. Now been cleared out as well. And they're just ignoring the copy room. So I think as nice as that C4 would be to connect onto someone, it's probably not going to be here as BDS have gone around a different route.
Oh, Leon. Wow, how many shots have just hit players and they've barely gotten away with their life in this past round or two now has been unbelievable. He's very lucky to still be alive, and with that long angle over from lobby that he's been holding to cut the rotates that Leon very much tried, it's very dangerous. Alems, unfortunately, will lose a considerable amount of HP, and that is a tongue twister. I don't know why. You would think English is my second language at this point, but nevertheless, things are quiet. It's almost the quiet before the storm, when all of those roamers that were upstairs before, they've given it up. They've wasted as much time as they were looking for, and now you have to deal with that bathroom, that shotgun in the hands of Leon. Can they rip it from his hands, or will he do major damage?
I mean, quite possibly. The fact that he's hung around after Aces has dropped away, and Aces even finds a kill from downstairs, I believe, into yellow. They're the most common spot for Shaiko to come pushing through. I think usually underneath the stairs there a second ago, maybe a bit harder to see, but either way, there he is up on the yellow. So yes, was tagged down through the hatch. That's an interesting angle all the way down from there, but a nice shot coming out. Look at that. That's the opening onto Shaiko at the very least. It's going to take a bit of the wind out of the sails of BDS, given he's the one who only has a kill to his name so far for the whole team. C4 comes out the other side, hoping to connect onto someone, but no one to be found. Now Renshiro steps up as the next challenger to push his way down towards bathroom, looking through this hatch.
Hello?
Oh, could have been a freebie, but not quite a freebie.
Oh, this angle from Aces, that should net a kill, and it at least gets it down. Corey finishes him off, and Renshiro is dispatched off all of a sudden when you got 20 seconds left, and you can't hit your shots. BDS in a super unfavorable position here, with time dwindling and Predator unable to get into sight for the plant as those toxic babes keep screaming inside of his face. He's going to have to eat it alive, and so does his teammate on yellow stairs, and it's all over Red Rover. Leon and Corey pull out the SMG-11s. The smoke does its job, and that round securely in the hands of Rogue, making 2 apiece.
No control over the bathroom hatch means you're not going to be able to securely push your way in without being contested by the defenders. In that case, they didn't even need to worry about contesting because of the smoke canisters coming out, down in 2 people and leaving 1 player alone to try and push for the plant. Well handled by Rogue. And it's almost like they've done to BDS so far what we saw them do to BDS in stage 1 of last year, where they looked at how BDS have played Oregon. They said, right, they do this every single time. Here's the counter we need to employ to be able to deal with that. And they dish it out to them in spades, as they've done so far. Both of these 2 rounds looking excellent from Rogue. It's 2-0. I never thought they'd start out this well against BDS, a team that's normally quite ferocious on this map.
Oh, Brene got baited. The man's got baited. They were talking about that right until the very last second. What happened? A 6-pick off the pulse over towards the mute. And then you know what Brito did? He went, oh, let me take the IQ then. Let me take the IQ to counter the pulse. Bad luck, buddy. You won't be seeing any scanner because that was 6-picked away. And this is why I said, and you actually brought it up the other map, you can always debate the other team by using that 6-pick. It's free.
Jescoat is pleased. Again, for those that missed it earlier on, my first ever encounter with Jess was her raging at a team for not using 6th pick in the first round of a match. It was glorious. But here she is happy as one has been used and shown to maybe potentially use its effect. Or who knows, maybe you speak to Brady after and he goes, nah, I just really like the gun and just couldn't decide between what gun I wanted to play with that round. Either way, gadget not going to be super useful. Does have the Claymore, admittedly, of which there are 2. A very common thing that we see from a lot of teams is bringing along at least 2 of them when you don't have the Nomad available to help you cut off those more aggressive rotates or jump outs.
Well, it looks like they're going to do a yellow push by the looks of the placement, or rather the ingress of a lot of the attackers currently. Rafal will stay outside very far. He wants to see if anyone peeks him because we know Rogue like to be at windows, and they've shown in the past couple of rounds that aggression has been key for them, especially when they took the, what'd you call it, the duck? The rook and the dock? The
Just
dock?
say rook, but with a D at the start.
Yeah, look, don't call, you know, when you're talking to me about pronouncing words, I'm going to suffer no matter how I pronounce it. I guarantee you with the accent.
Whatever animal sounds are involved, you're just screwed. Wolf,
yeah, I don't know why.
Yeah, just can't do it.
I don't know what's wrong. Nevertheless, yellow stairs, that's going to be the big problem to start off with. That's why the Doc's on yellow. He can stim himself up. He can keep buffing himself. If any grenades come raining through, he can deal with it. But he's being super aggressive on that position. In fact, I think he wants to take a gunfight before he even thinks of grenades coming zooming in.
This time around, Salengo, the one being aggressive on the push into yellow. You're absolutely correct. And rather than Shaiko being the one who goes for that push, he instead has got himself up on window to help clear out some gadgets with those breaching rounds. All 3 now. Consume rotates himself back down to yellow. Now going to progress, as we normally see from BDS, the 2 of them pushing in tandem, actually, and potentially opting to try and play for some trade play. I wonder what Rips is up to. We just saw him descend down Visa. There's 1 or 2 kind of looking to hang around this side of the map, crying, also facing off the north. Right, never mind. He's back up again. Just looking to, I think, maybe challenge on the lower ground and not give free map control all the way over to BDS, constantly leave them guessing. Both Shaiko and Alem tagged out momentarily by the smoke. Second one comes out. These are quite early smokes coming out here, Jess, given the 60 seconds left.
They're just trying to deny as much as they can. I think for Corey, that yellow stairs is the prime position. The reason is they've opened up the closet wall and you can deny anyone planting from long range there. So if Corey keeps this in his hand, he'll do a world of wonders. But no, good dual push there from BDS to take that power position we were just referencing. And with 40 full seconds left, the only person that could stop them is Aces. He'll have a little bit of a shield to play with, but a quick peek from Shaiko puts him on the ground. He's in the dirt, ladies and gentlemen, and with 30 seconds left and the man count dwindling for the side of Rogue. This is not good. Rafal, he's still out of spawn, and guess what? When you have all the BDS members alive, you don't even need to be near the building. It's all up to Rips. And as I look towards the scoreboard and the plant going down here, Des, I think this is completely undoable. Surely he gets an extra frag, but with the health down to 5 HP, it is, it's going to have to be a thread the needle. He'll grab Shaiko, but Brene will finish him off. And round number 3 will finally go in the hands of BDS with a successful plant and a dominant round win.
A little bit too comfortable there, I think, but we've said this so many times over. Even when it doesn't look like BDS has a massive tactical or strategical advantage, there exists a player called Shaiko, a player called Renshiro, a player called Brede. Name all 5 of them. They can step into a situation that's either dead even or at a disadvantage for BDS and still pick up the 2 or 3 kills. The 2K coming up yellow. The third one at the top was he picked off a lemon, swung onto him as well. Just made it a little bit too easy there, I think. BDS just showed how you can never afford to get comfortable against these guys. They will pick rounds away from you. Now we return down to lobby and press once again with the Oryx making an appearance once again. We also saw that in the last series, I believe, between G2 and Empire a couple of times.
Well, Brune is showing that maybe this IQ pick is something that they're more looking for, and possibly because maybe they're reading into the composition of Rogue and realizing they don't need this hard breach. And so as a result of that, they can just go, okay, well, we'll take an IQ. We'll take whatever we can use to be able to deal with a lot of these gadgets. Maybe they thought they might 6-pick a Pulse as well. Who knows? But either way, there's an absolute certainty there that BDS was aware this wasn't going to be a top and bottom floor. And as a result, you don't need that hard breach like you would with the double hard breach that they were originally running. So for me, not a surprise to see Rogue go to lobby. I did want to bring it up before, at least to see why they put such an influence, or rather an importance and emphasis on lobby as a site. And if you look at where they mostly win, I mean, they mostly win downstairs. So it's surprising they go to a site, piano and lobby, which they lose the most.
Sometimes you've got to spice things up a little bit, right? Keep them guessing. And the presence of the Oryx suggests that maybe there's something sneaky afoot here. Seeing the Jaeger and the Mine together just makes me think straight away that yellow is going to be a big point of contention once again, knowing full well that BDS love taking control of it. Why wouldn't you stick some members on there? And I actually recall against Vitality, they expended every piece of utility that Vitality had to offer with some excellent and admittedly very confident one my play coming out of, I believe it was Leon who was sat in there. They managed to soak up all the frags, all the flashes, and not even give up yellow in the process. It was beautiful to watch. I'm wondering if they can do the same today against BDS.
Well, this time it's Corey's job to take the Oryx, not Rips this time, and it looks like they're just throwing operators around each other. Who's feeling confident on this? Who's feeling confident on that? And, well, I mean, maybe that adaptability and flexibility will work well. Yet to be seen, and, well, now that they've got that top floor hold for this lobby site, it will be BDS's job here to dismantle that. If they want the verticals, cool, go for it, get it done. But maybe they want to go for a sneaky little piano plant. Maybe Briday's identified there's not enough verticals above for them to be able to deal with him. And if Shaiko cuts that bathroom and yellow stairs rotate, it's all theirs. Renshiro will stop anyone peeking from the verticals above, and Bob's your uncle.
So you hope that's what you're always dreaming for, or they could just walk in and kill 3 or 4 people and win the round out that way, as BDS do seem to love doing. But they're in a good position here to make the execute happen. Corey lurking around yellow. You've got Shaiko in his favorite position, playing at the bottom of it, waiting for the signal to push in there. Once the team hit the go button, here comes the swinging from Brede there. The second kill comes in. He's landed inside a site. Rips trading one back onto a lens, making a second as he picks up Brede. Defuse it now, cold dead on the ground, as Shaiko did push into yellow, but sadly nowhere to contest us. I believe Rips was the one playing inside a bathroom. Big couple of kills coming out for him. There he is indeed. Thank you very much, medics. They know that now that he needs to be challenged out, and Shaiko is going to go aggressive. He's got no cover from yellow stairs, makes that a freebie, and now Corey's going to have to come and play damage control on his push downstairs. You've got Cryin challenging onto the window, actually taking more damage from that than I think Renshiro did himself, but Shaiko is still inside of sight, and that presents a bit of a thorn in the side for Rogue here, even with 40 seconds remaining, Jess.
Oh, Renshiro got out of there just in time, and it'll be Shaiko to come storming down yellow and collect the last rogue player of Corey to get themselves another round in hand. It did look a little bit dire in the first 2 rounds when Rogue were able to snatch them away from BDS. But if you ask me, BDS seemed to be slow to the hit in multiple different games. And I think it was Lems that rightly said in Playday 1 they needed to warm up a bit. And I feel like I've referenced that game after game after game where they've lost maybe the first round or so, and then they just get themselves into the game and they look unstoppable. So I didn't doubt them, but I do want to see in the second half whether or not they got that momentum and they've run with it. Looks like it only took them till the 3rd or 4th round, and we're back in business.
At least makes things nice and balanced, because although the last couple of rounds admittedly have been a masterclass by the side of BDS, and when I say a masterclass, more so in the gun skill area, at least in round number 3, that last round did have something go wrong from which BDS still recovered. When Rips had that 2k from inside a bathroom, I thought, oh, okay, now they've got Corey being able to pincer down onto Shaiko from above on yellow stairs. They have the one still playing inside a bathroom of Rips to contest him if he tries to push in. I thought surely they've got Shaiko under lock and key here, but no. Steps in and picks up Rips, turns around later on and collects Corey as well. Just does away what should be an advantage for the other team with what looks like absolute ease. It's unbelievable.
We'll see whether or not that ease continues here for BDS, or whether Rogue has an answer, as instead of going back to lobby, they will go down to their best side, at least statistically, and that's the bottom floor of Garage and Cafeteria. A lot of aggression that we've spoken about Rogue, that's their essence and their signature move on defense, especially as of late. That's why all of those windows will be opened up. And hey, looks like they want to do it or insinuate a little bit of a piano hold here. And if you're BDS and you're used to getting those verticals with Renshiro on the buck, then that is not going to be Leon's playground for very long.
And Rafael on the sledge, we saw this on the same site earlier on, bringing along both the double soft breach here to use from above, and don't forget the breaching rounds coming out of the Ash, and if you really want them, the impacts coming out of the Sophia. Like, there is no question, floors are getting opened up here, whether Rogue like it or not. The big question is, how long are they willing to contest Piano 4 before they fall back? Generally, before you lose someone is the kind of right go-to answer here that I'm looking for, but then you've got to worry about what happens when the execute comes in. You'll be leaning on someone like Corey to make use of those smokes like we saw earlier on to go for the denial. Rafal already finding Leon quite early on, 45 seconds into the round is not a good start.
A good trade there from Aces, and I think that was a little bit of a downfall in intel collection there from BDS. Make sure that you're checking top floors, staircases, etc. Because if Rafal wants to come running into lobby, he needs to be careful no one comes running down Spiral, running down Yellow and collects him. He does manage to get one for the trouble, and that's a wall bang, I believe, onto the head of Cryan. Good night, sleep tight, and that C4 won't do anything as Shaiko manages to pepper some bullets over towards Aces. C4's gone, and he can't catch the rotate down, and he wants to commit to it, Shaiko?
What? How do you push down like that without getting killed on the push down Yellow? It's unbelievable that he gets away with that and collects the kill. I imagine there's a little bit of salt in the road comms there. How on earth did no one have my back covered as I was coming down Yellow? Either way, he's done the Lord's work. He's been traded out, yes, but has also removed the player that was on pipes. You've now only got the two more deep set players. Ace is playing inside of security. Rips rotating between playing inside a garage itself and cafeteria. C4 comes out for the spot, doesn't find it. Ace is going to go aggressive here. Sees the man planting, but instead goes to the guy outside. Finds both. It's a triple kill for Aces, who we've said so many times has been back in form. But now he's got to deal with Renshiro. The best part of all, Jess, there's still 55 seconds to play. They're squaring up to push around Yellow here. Here he comes down with a shot. No, but he's running away. He turned his back to the man knowing he was coming down Yellow and is happy to put him in the dirt. It's going to be round number 5 going the way of BDS, but with how close that round went, we've got a game on our hands, Jess.
No, the reason I scream no is he was in the right place at the right time, especially with a weapon like the Roni that has the high fire rate it does. You could do serious damage, especially at close range. I can understand what he was trying to do, back on up, use the intel. They still had default cam up. Why challenge him when you can wait for direct pieces of intel and force that time? I get it, but you have to make that decision instantly, not after 5-10 seconds. What a shame. Whatever the call came out of there, it was the wrong one, and it puts BDS for the first time this matchup in the lead 3-2, and this will be the last defensive round here for Rogue, and if they can square things away, it'll look pretty good for them going into the second half.
Ooh, what is it with Constellant giving us games today, hey? The last one all the way to round 15 as we saw it. A crazy ending in round number 15. Oof. I'm all for this one going the full distance as well, by the way. For the longest time I've said, well, not the longest time, this stage I've said Consulate is the map where we see good teams go to die because it exposes all of their weaknesses. When team play isn't lined up, you can get flanked on so ridiculously quick. And what a great shot by Renshiro, by the way. This is the play where I thought, okay, surely you killed the planter first, but no, right choice. Kills the guy with the gun in hand first and then worries about the guy going for the plant immediately after. Could have been maybe a different story if the plant had gone down, because Renshiro could have got himself outside the map and we could have been having a very different conversation. But either way, another great play coming out from Aces. You could probably look back at quite a few times this season where he's been sat in a position like halfway up Yellow and then comes for a mega flank and gets a multi-kill. Think about last week with the Titan killer, as we call it, from Ella, coming up the main stairs on Clubhouse and getting the 2K as they were trying to set up inside a kitchen. Think back to his 4K in the basement. Oh my God, are you kidding me? Think back to his 4K in the basement of Oregon as well. The guy just keeps on pulling off plays like this at the perfect time. It's incredible to see.
What else is incredible to see is that Alem started off this matchup really slow. Wasn't able to get the kills. Maybe it's that operator change. Maybe it's the role change. And in the last 2 rounds has been absolutely activated. And that's what you want for a player like Alems, who is usually seen on a fragging operator for the most part. And now he's sort of moved to that flex frag, a little bit more of a hard breaching role on this particular map. I mean, whatever works for you, but he can frag out as well. So that's going to be a good opening kill onto what would be seemingly a weakened Cryan at the moment. It hasn't been having the impact on the defense he's been looking for, especially when you're the Jaeger main, El Bay, they've been throwing a bit of those operators around. And well, that'll be him out of commission. ADSs will already be down, so not a huge loss. But speaking of ADSs, that's what they're trying to cook here on Yellow and get control of.
It's just the BDS strategy at this point, isn't it? I think once we've seen them push admin, but Yellow absolutely has been their go-to. And this time around, no, Rogue definitely cannot hold on. Admittedly, without Overmind, it's going to be a much harder job than previous. The right call to back away, but they're bleeding members until Aces finds one, but runs straight into the Claymore. It's why you bring them along, even with the Nomad ban. Well, even with the Nomad ban being present, they're even more powerful when she's taken away, given it can stop things like that happening. 4 versus 2 for the side of BDS, and we're down to only 1 smoke canister on Corey. There's not going to be a lot to stop the BDS side but pushing in when it comes round to execution time. Depends about how they can get themselves set up, because at this point, they're still looking for control of Yellow.
when you have a whole 60 seconds to work with here and you're all just cutting the rotates, look at how many windows these BDS players are at. They are cutting everyone's rotate to the point of near suffocation. Oh, Renshiro, he spots the legs of Rips. And when I said they're cutting the rotates, they've been missing a few of them. A few of the shots have been missing, I think, back to the bathroom hatch. And there's going to have to be some serious aggression here from Corey and Rips as they attempt to dwindle the man count that is on the side of BDS. 30 seconds left. They wasted that 60 seconds advantage they had. And with a 5 HP Shaiko, I was going to call Corey there, things are looking very dire.
I mean, try as he might here, he's got to hold off an onslaught of 4 players. Time necessarily isn't on the side of BDS, but with the control that they've got here, a plan should go down. No questions asked for Shiro to pick up the closing kill. BDS take round number 6 to end the half at 4-2. I'd still say we saw some good stuff coming out of Rogue overall, but I wouldn't be too beat up about.
It'll be interesting to see what strategy BDS employ here, because what it seemed like they were doing on their attack was getting into a key position, taking the early power position, whether that be yellow, whether it be, you know, the side of lobby, etc., and then holding rotate cuts. And given that Rogue have played a very free and fluid kind of defensive side for the past however many weeks, it's not a surprise that a lot of the Rogue players just ran into their crosshairs. Go figure, huh? That's a good strategy against a team that can't sit still. How does Rogue deal with BDS now that all they need to do is just play time, hold back, and deny the plan? Or does BDS get a little bit aggressive? Given the operators, I don't think so. I mean, look at the smoke, the mute. That's more of a short-range kind of engagement operator. We'll see, but they'll start downstairs.
And they've read into this incredibly well, Rogue, already looking at it, right? You commented earlier on about the mirror pick always coming in whenever we saw the ban come through with the Maestro. What are they got in response? Sick picked away the 0, instead opts to bring along the Twitch. Something we've seen G2 employ an awful lot on this map now that I think about it. I remember back in week 1 seeing their excellent executes coming into Garage, but I think it was week 1. Was it week 1 against? No. I think it was against someone else, but I forget. Either way, the excellent play behind using things like flashes, for example, to enable the Twitch drone inside a garage to blow out mirror windows, destroy kite electro claws, things along those lines. Here, there's no repeat performance of that because there are no flashes, but there are smokes. There's the claymores, there's the 4 frags they've got on side. There's still a lot of options for Rogue here to make good use of that to try and clear out those mirror windows. It's going to be on BDS to be super attentive.
Speaking about attentive, make sure you check your spawn peaks because Shaiko, he is hungry for blood in the first 10 seconds of this round. They've opened up a lot of windows top floor, and whilst I did initially say I didn't think that this composition screamed to me they'd be doing a roam, when you've got the mirror on side, you can pretty well leave 1 or 2 different operators or rather players on site and then roam to your heart's content. I don't think the bathroom hatch is open, so the rotate down will be very minimal here, and actually it is. So there you go, they're employing the exact same defensive strategy Rogue did. Couple of players upstairs, still out some time, a bathroom hold with a shotgun, but Rogue, they seem a lot more focused on the garage triple wall at the moment. And I mean, if they can work out that there's only 1 or 2 defenders on site, they could just go for the plan.
So that's what they're trying to gear up for here. Get the drone inside, clear anything that might impede you in any way, tag out whatever else you need to. Those ADS is surely going to get zapped out as well when they have the charge coming back online. There goes one. The second one straight out. And although they now start spraying down, the damage has already been done. That should mean the smokes can come in pretty freely. Otherwise, they would have been caught out potentially by those ADSs. Still got to get rid of the Malusis, mind you. The one on top of the black car could be a pretty serious impediment if they're not too wary of that. And look at Alem hanging on the upstairs. He's in a position to do some damage given the time with the C4. It comes out. Leon, just out of range. Not caught out by it, but that could have been painful.
I'm glad he used it up there as well because he's not in a position to be able to use it late round anyway. I mean, most of his rotates back to site will be cut sooner than later, and especially if they start to open up the verticals, I mean, bathrooms in the hands of the attackers at that point. They don't seem interested in it just yet, and that's a nice bouncer if I've ever seen one. Catches Shaiko off. That's going to be the pipes control in the hands of the attackers. If they're not careful, they need to make sure that they have those verticals played with here because it's Bride on the verticals. They're going to run in deep, and that shotgun does major damage.
All from above as well, raining death down with the shotgun shells into the heads of the aggressors. 2 versus 2 there. They've almost swung it back as well. Rogue still with the numbers advantage. Playday now going to play recovery. Finds the head of Rips, or not quite, but it looked like a headshot to me. 1 versus 1 against Crying here. 45 seconds still to play. This is the time for Playday to really shine. And what that C4 necessarily was intended to do, but definitely not in the right place. Must know that this plant has gone down inside a cafeteria and now needs to go and find his man who's hanging out towards red. And I think he knows it. Thought Playday would find it with that little snap, but Crying a little bit too quick. Definitely a game jest to be had here. 4-3 now to BDS.
quick thinking from Cry and save that round, he realized there was far too many vertical opportunities for Bride over in Piano, and that's exactly where Bride went. And what he attempted to do there with that C4 was mask his sound as he was coming down. So if you explode at the moment you're coming down the stairs, it will stop the sound from emanating over from Yellow. So that was a smart attempt at a bait there, but unfortunately Cry was too smart for that one, and he goes and plants in Cafeteria instead. Post-plant with an R4C in hand. I mean, generally at long range, you expect the R4C to win out, and that's exactly what happens. We do have a game on our hands at Rogue. They'll slowly diminish that lead that BDS took in the first half, but there's still a lot to be said because that came down to a 1v1 in the end there.
Well, I'm glad that we haven't come in today, and I did expect coming in that we would see BDS comfortably kind of stomp their way over Rogue. I thought Rogue, as good as they've looked, maybe wouldn't be able to deal with a team that's been as solid as BDS. I'm sure they got rocked a little bit by Na'Vi in the overtime especially, but they still look like one of the strongest teams that we have in Europe. It's been that way now for a good, 18 months almost? In fact, we've always said through the times of turbulence that other teams have gone through, BDS were the ones that remained composed all the way through, but we are definitely getting an interesting matchup here, which may yet hinder BDS's chances of sitting at number 1. Even if this goes to overtime, don't forget, that still steals points away from them and can only play into Na'Vi's favor.
Well, it'll be another downstairs opportunity here for BDS. It looks like they really want to win this site, and well, maybe they're just looking at the fact that it was a close one. It should have been in their hands, and had Shaiko been in a better position with maybe even an ADS next to him, he would not have lost his pipes position. So I think they're looking back on it thinking they're easy mistakes to fix, and for Rogue, they can just do what they did last round, but with a much more dominant sway. Maybe make sure that you have someone get that piano control, but instead, Corey will collect Shaiko, and even if he does have pipes control, I mean, it's all gone now.
And again, it's Shaiko, top fragger currently in the game, removed from the field. Not something that you normally see that often. Him dying as the early opening death for the side of BDS normally is the one making a big impact into the mid to late round, or at least on the early entry, if it does come down to it, rather than so much on a spawn peak. But hey, we take those, I'm sure Rogue says. They're now going to open this wall opened up once more, and I imagine we're going to see a similar approach once again. Rips inside with the Twitch drone, tagging out where everything is. But this is Leon at least doing so with the normal drones. So then we get the Twitch drone in and start worrying about all these gadgets. And this corner has got to look mighty appealing to a Twitch drone right now. 3 gadgets sat in there to do some work on, 2 of which will be able to remove out pretty cleanly, I think, and then they can start thinking about their execute.
Well, they could at least disable it upon the ingress of the attackers coming on in. ADS getting rid of would be really good, and I believe they have, and now the grenade will work on the Bulletproof and the Banshees because they can only be meleeed or exploded, so that's the only ones they could work with. Second grenade does massive damage to the 2 SMG-11 wielding players of Bride and Rafale, and as their health dwindles, so does their opportunity for them to get in on site. There's a Twitch drone dwindling around as well, waiting to hopefully pop that mirror window. And as the Gemini spots out a Lems on top Yellow, he's going to back his way on up, but they need this Yellow control. They need this piano control because they're going to need that vertical.
There are 2 of them inside piano as well, which is just going to make things really hard for Rogue. You can now see 2 starting to think about some kind of aggression up there. In fact, they're ignoring it and trying to push down Yellow. This is why you need the piano control. 2 have bled out dry here for the side of Rogue. And suddenly a 4 versus 3 is a 3 versus 2. Make it a 3 versus 1 as a Lems wins that swing onto the vending machine. There's 1 left alive, and Aces sees him on the ground. Well, more like Renshura should have been the one to see him to end the round out, but not quite going to be the case. He is down, but who would you want in a clutch situation? You'd absolutely want it to be Aces in this case. Problem is, Bride's got the vertical control, so we're going to have to see a push up from Aces here to make something happen. Alem hanging around on Yellow. They're the other side of the map, and he's got 20 seconds to go. Something tells me this one might just be a little bit too hard for the Ace Wonder Kid this season to do much about this one. 15 seconds to go, Jess. I personally don't see it happening.
He'd have to hit some perfect spray transfers, but it won't be. It'll be the MP5 to put him out of commission. And Aces, whilst he did the rotate up, and I actually think that was the right idea, especially if they thought that, you know, the verticals were being held onto the diffuser, no problems are possible last second clutch. But that doesn't matter because that rift that was going between Rogue and BDS just rounds ago will continue. 2 rounds ahead here for BDS, 1 round away from match point. And for Rogue, if they want to win this out, they're going to need a couple of rounds in the row at least. Otherwise, they are going to go into overtime no matter what they do.
I think it will probably step up to being a BDS win at this point, given how the last couple of rounds have gone. Yes, round 7, pretty close. It was all about that kind of post-plant situation they were in. But I think that, or even with Shaiko bleeding out in that round there quite early on, for example, for it to still go the way that it did, speaks volumes about the, again, strength and tenacity that you see in BDS as a whole. Let's see how it goes again, though. We thought that maybe there'd be a prediction game coming up from Rogue with the mirror windows coming along, the Rips coming along on the Switch as the kind of response. And here we get to see a split site coming out of BDS. How much have we seen? Have you got any stats on this one?
0%.
I was going to say, I'm kind of rifling through my very poor memory archives and thinking, have I ever seen BDS on this site? No, I don't think so.
That's why I like it, because this is so old school. And when I say old school, okay, multiple teams are bringing it back. I mean, look over towards G2 and what they do with Mirror inside this little kitchenette here. I think it's one of the best original strategies that Mirror ever had on this map and ever will. Even though the security one's a popular one we just saw, you know, last round, I still think this is the best one. You know, you used to stack all 3 of your ADSs up there. You put a castle on the kitchen door so the printer window can't harass you. I mean, now that you have this split side to play with, it is your absolute playground if you can keep that Mirror up. So I really, really like it.
Okay. See how they shape up from here then. Always looking towards the number of C4s that come through for the defensive side on this site. The answer is 3. And Shaiko clearly looking to get a bit of revenge for the previous round, goes, hey, look, it's my time to get the opening kill here, not to be the opening death, guys, okay? And before you even starting to think about the site itself, it's getting mighty explosive, but Cryan trying to push his way up blue is stopped by the showmaker himself. Playday puts him in the dirt. Alem to collect another. This one's fallen apart before it's even got started, before Leon was even inside the building, finds a single kill with a C4 comes singing out afterwards. That's going to be match point coming up now for BDS as they move up to 6-3.
I feel really bad because the viewers are going to sit here and go, a garage rush into, you know, bottom archives? That wasn't the play. Well, actually it was. Unfortunately, if you look at the setup there from BDS and you say, what was their one weakness? Technically, bottom floor was their weakness. Teams will generally have one-sided utility usage, which favors one side over the other. And if you're a smart attacking team, you'll try and attack the side that has the least utility to deal with. That was absolutely bottom floor. Once they realized that, no one was there to cut off the rotates back. I'm not sure what that was all about. But I mean, if you're going to rush a site, you need to be able to trade out quickly. They didn't do that. They had 1 or 2 trades, but Playday with the SMG-11 was allowed to reload and kill another person. Questionable. Not a surprise BDS is on match point. Rogue will have to win the next 3 rounds in a row to propel them into overtime. And if we look at the standings here, Des, I mean, if Rogue wins in overtime, then they would be tied in points with BDS. They'd also win the head-to-head, so they'd technically be in second place behind Na'Vi, who hasn't played yet today at all, but they'd technically be in second place. BDS getting 1 point is technically in first place currently, because they've at least squared away 1 point, so whew.
Jess and chat, raise your hands if you ever thought that the sentence Rogue will be tied for BDS and beat them out in their head-to-head would ever be a sentence that you'd say after the end of stage 2 of last year. Please raise your hands now. No one raises a hand. I'm fully aware of what happens.
You can't see me though.
I don't need to see you because I know that you're not going to raise your hand, Jess. You cannot claim to be a fortune teller in this circumstance, because it is honestly madness just thinking about that as a concept after how stage 2 went for Rogue. And for those of you that didn't see it, well, you may have just missed the worst stage for a team, worst stage for a team in history, a 0-9 complete and utter loss and defeat for Rogue the whole way through after a really successful stage 1, finishing in first place, mind you. I'm hoping we're not going to see this become a trend where stage 1 is incredible for Rogue and they look great and stage 2 just falls apart. No one wants to see that kind of up and down performance, is what we kind of fear for a lot of teams, but hopefully for Rogue it doesn't persist.
Speaking of persisting, it's going to be Corey with the grenades on top yellow, and interestingly enough, no one is droning it out. He's wasting both grenades on yellow. What a surprise, because no one is there, no one's droned it out, so no grenades left for Corey. But that's a-okay, because where he usually reigns supreme is with a weapon in hand. Not so shining in the gadgetry and ability position, but that doesn't matter because they have yellow stairs control, and now they'll need to make their ingress over towards meeting, and once they have that, well, you know, I wanted to say Bob's your uncle again, but instead it will be Renshiro taking out Corey, and he won't have the mechanical impact that he wanted to have.
Yeah, I mean, opening kill again onto a member of Rogue. It's just stepping that way so often. I mean, after Shaiko's death a couple of rounds back, it's definitely now sprung back the other way. Leon, great shot through onto Renshira. It's always coming down to these super tight little pixel angles for either side to collect these kills. It's chaos, either that, or it's just an absolute slaughterfest once the execute starts coming in, or as we saw in the previous round, the push down blue coming out of Rogue. Let's see how things set up now, though. You can see them kind of starting to bunch up here and start thinking about going for their push forwards. And the vertical angle, the number of times this has happened, this game is painful. Admittedly, earlier on, Leon did survive the drop down through bathroom hatch through the same kind of way. Call it all karma in the end. All things are balanced out.
Speaking of balanced out, another headshot here for Playday, and it's going to take off the head of Leon, and that's going to be the Habana out of commission. Are the hatches reinforced? Very, very doubtful. Very likely that they've opened those on up for the defenders who were playing top 4 to now rotate back onto site. We'll see whether that's happened already. Surely, I mean, there's only 45 seconds left, so why would you need to persist upstairs? Rogue seem very, very worried that there is a player still upstairs, and crying as he runs briefly past the verticals. Wow, his legs absolutely shot up, and Shaiko, he still wants more, and that's why he's going to keep challenging.
Oh, he almost finishes the fight inside of Piano and then has to challenge straight onto Yellow, but doesn't find himself going down to Rips, who is pushing down at exactly the same time. Mandler's putting himself in the middle of a firefight, as Shaiko does, but not going to find himself going down here. 4 versus 3, 15 seconds to go. Rogue need to make a move right now, or this game is done. They've already left it too late as they collect 2 kills as they come dropping down. BDS were just ready like a Venus flytrap, saying, come jumping in and we'll snap you right up. It started out good for Rogue in the first half, but BDS showed absolute domination in the defense and closed the game out 7-3.
Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That is going to propel BDS back up into first position, but possibly only momentarily, as Na'Vi is yet to play today, and they are the big rivals here for BDS on the standings. They're all looking cool, calm, and collected, but I would be very, very worried that Na'Vi will be the ones in their, future game today to possibly steal that very temporary first place right off them. Rogue will stay in third place, and unless G2 can collect some more points in the coming days, they might just sit pretty there for now.
It's getting pretty tight at the top of the table, admittedly, with Rogue and G2 now kind of sat teetering around each other. It's going to be thrilling to see how the last few Playdays go. Don't forget as well, this is only Playday 6. We've still got 3 more to go, all 3 of them coming in 1 week next week. Whew, it's going to be an absolute screamer. But for now, let's put this game to bed on the desk, get their thoughts on how this one played out.
Absolute screamer. We're still trying to learn the lingo, the jargon.